Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina. Welcome to the Sunday night live stream show, y'all. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out and joining us for the Sunday night live stream show. It is time for a good time talking fishing, talking weather, talking what's going on now, showing you photos, answering questions, and of course, giving away free fishing trips. That's right, $1,500 in free fishing trips every Sunday night right here during the live stream show. And all you have to do in order to enter to win is to watch the entire show live, comment one time on our Hubbard's Marina YouTube live stream one time, and then you're entered for a chance to win. Then you have to stay tuned for the entire show, because at random intervals we're going to choose a lucky winner, and you've got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address to the phone number on the screen, proving that you were watching live. So make sure you watch the entire show live, and then if you're picked as one of the lucky winners, claim the free trip by texting us within 5 minutes your home address to the phone number at the bottom of the screen, and you enter to win by commenting once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook live stream. Now, want to give a shout out to our friends over there at Gator Jim's Tackle. Remember, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. If you haven't stopped by to see our friends over at Gator Jim's Tackle, you are missing out. Killer deals. It is an amazing shop, stuffed to the gills with inventory. It is overflowing with deals. So stop by and see our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle, and make sure you tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. Also, want to make sure we give a shout out to all of our supporters out there in our supporters group. On Facebook, you have access to our private supporters group. You got access to our private after show. We've been doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and we've been doing some giveaways. And we've been giving away free fishing trips. We gave away 12-hour extreme trips, 10-hour trips. This week, we're going to do another giveaway, and I'm deciding between a 39-hour trip giveaway and a 12-hour extreme trip giveaway for the supporters group this week. And maybe I'll just do both. I don't know yet. So definitely worth checking out. Only $4.99 a month to join the supporters group. We have a great time in there, and it's a chance to have a little bit more one-on-one communication, and you definitely get a lot of different bonuses there. Plus, we got our supporters club and regulars club Christmas party coming up. We've planned, I want to confirm, but I'm pretty sure I planned it, and I have a tentative date of December 13th, and we're going to confirm that, and I'm going to email out the Regulars Club and post it in the Supporters Club. But pencil in your calendar if you're in the Supporters Club, if you're in the Regulars Club, December 13th, that afternoon. And we'll finalize the date, details, and time, and give you more information. But it's going to be free food. There's going to be free beer. There's going to be deals going on in the shop. And we're going to give you a lot of free stuff too. Shirts, hats, calendars, all that good stuff. So hopefully we'll see everybody out for that. Also, real excited. We've got lots of stuff to talk about tonight. Some big announcements, some good news, and some bad news, depending on how you look at it, on the government shutdown and its implications on fisheries. Didn't really realize that we had implications, but we do. Of course we do. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but also want to make sure we give a shout out to all of those who are sending stars on Facebook. Definitely appreciate all the stars and the support. We had Robert Holshauser with 1,000 stars, Larry White with a big 500 stars, Barry Long with a big 500, John Herman Sr. with a big 500, Richard Harcourt as well. Appreciate you, buddy. Stephen Batchelor, too. Thank you all for the 500s. And we had John Herman. We had Richard Harcourt in there. And Jameel Bood as well. Appreciate the stars there, folks. And on YouTube, we had some super chats sent in as well. We had Sam Lang with a big 10, Richard Blazak with a 5, and Adam Franklin with a 2. Appreciate you guys and gals and everybody for the support in our supporters club, in the Facebook stars, and the YouTube super chats. Definitely helps us fuel the show and keep doing more cool stuff. All right, with that, let's get right into the photos and show you photos of what we're catching now. Then we're going to get into the weather, talk a little bit about weather, get into some announcements, and then we're going to get into your questions. Remember, if you have a question you want to answer live, drop it in a text message to that phone number at the bottom of the screen. So first things first, let's roll inshore and show you guys what we're catching inshore. On the inshore side of things, we're seeing the redfish action really heat up as water temperatures cool down. End of September, early October is redfish prime time in our area. The crescendo, the peak redfish time, and it is on and popping. We're seeing a lot of redfish around the area actively feeding well, mangrove shorelines, grass flats, oyster bars, even moving in and out of the passes. We got a new moon coming up this week, so the artificial light sources at night should get super hot. The snook are still around the pass and beach, but a lot of those fish are on the move. Most of the fish are off the beaches at this point. Still some hanging out around the passes, but a lot of these fish are already back pretty far into the upper and back bay waters. Some real nice fish from our friends at Salt Strong. Some beautiful dark back snook already, showing those fish are pretty far up. I was talking to Captain Ray Markham, who is catching snook in ponds that you would not expect ponds to be in. That's how far back they've been. This is also pretty exciting. Lots of mackerel around the pass. The shore-based anglers are crushing the mackerel after sunrise around the Johns Pass jetties. You don't see John fishing you don't see John fishing when the sun is out too often. And that's how you know fishing's good and the mackerel are fired up, because he's sticking around past sunrise for those mackerel. And that's how fired up they are. Catching trout 2 at a time on the tandem rigs, some ladyfish action too. So the artificial light sources at night are definitely going to be a good opportunity coming up as we move into that new moon time frame. Don Shuett, appreciate that super chat on YouTube with the $20 there. Dolores Beers as well, appreciate you and Mike. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. And we also had Jameel Bood on Facebook with the Stars Senders. All right, moving into nearshore waters. Show you guys what we're catching out there. The big news nearshore is kingfish are back. Kingfish, baby. Kings are back in town. Kingfish heavy. The kings are really thick. And we got lots of mackerel around, and hogfish action are picking up as well. So it is a good time to get out there near shore and do some hogfish chasing on our 10-hour trip, catching a few of them on the half-day trips. Private charters are doing really well on the hogs with lots of mackerel in the mix. I mean, you can see here, it has been a hog heaven as of late. We got more photos this week and coming up next week. It's been really good fishing-wise on the hogfish. As long as the weather has been allowing us to get out there. We have caught a few of the keeper red grouper in the mix as well on the 10-hour trips, but we are fishing a little bit shallower right now with the focus on the hogfish, doing some trolling for the mackerel and catching a few of those kingfish as well. Lance Hall and Christina went out fishing, and guess who didn't catch a hogfish, Josh? Christina caught the hogfish. Lance did not catch a hogfish.
Well, we already knew Lance was
and Lance also lost a kingfish on the troll. Love you guys. Some nice nearshore private charter fishing. There's the kingfish. Look at that. That's from a 5-hour half-day fishing trip. This kingfish came up on a planer and spoon, believe it or not. We don't see a lot of big dogs on the old planer and spoon setup, but sometimes it happens. Elephants do bite peanuts, and weirder things have occurred. So that is a beautiful smoker kingfish from a 5-hour half-day trip. We were just about to retrieve the trollers as we got into the channel there, and that kingfish bite. I don't know what happened to this photo. This was a transfer error, but a beautiful mahi-mahi from a long-range private fishing charter. This is, I think, an 8-hour I think it was a 6-hour on the Flying Hub 2, a little near-shore private charter, crushing the red grouper lanes and more. Some 10-hour red grouper action. Seeing some red grouper out there, some nice kingfish. This is more of a schooly kingfish, but the kids are having a great time catching them. Lots of mackerel lately. As I mentioned, the mackerel action has been pretty prolific. There's a kingfish bottom right as well. and you get fired up sometimes. You gotta show off them fish. Some catch and release gag grouper action on the 12-hour extreme trips. Some really nice hogfish from the 12-hour or from the Flying Hub 2 private charters. Look at that. Beautiful hogfish on the private charter there. There's a massive lane snapper, some nice red grouper action. It's a good time to get out there. Fishing is hot. Weather is cool. Crowds are small. And fishing is hot. And we showed you photos of the fish we've been catching. Let's talk a little bit about the weather, because the weather is exciting. Let's pop on over to hubbardsmarina.com. And right on hubbardsmarina.com, let's hit fishing trips. And then let's scroll down to the weather links page. And let's start in the 5 and 10 hour forecast area. And you can see weather is coming. It's going to get weathery at the end of the work week and through the weekend, and really into the coming work week as well. So starting Thursday all the way through Monday, we got about a 5-day window of wind coming. We have beautiful weather Monday into Tuesday, Wednesday, looking real nice. Then we get a little cold front there Wednesday night. Not a real strong one, but behind that cold front, we get a high pressure settling in, and that high pressure is going to bring a lot of wind through the weekend. And it doesn't break until potentially Tuesday, the 28th. So you really want to get out there and take advantage of this fishing weather. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, looking really solid. And because the weather is looking so good, right ahead of a cold front is always the best fishing. So right as that cold front starts to come through and starts pressing down into our area, the fish are going to get fired up. They're going to feel that cold front coming. They're going to want to eat heavily and get active. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday should be really good fishing, especially Tuesday and Wednesday, because that front's coming through Wednesday night. So we've added a 12-hour extreme trip Tuesday. It's got a super light load on it. Wednesday's 12-hour extreme has a light load on it too. We've got a Tuesday 39-hour trip with only 24 people on it. So really light load opportunities. We got a 10-hour trip Tuesday as well. Hopefully we'll have some 5-hour trips in the mix there too. So some good opportunities to capitalize on that short weather window. This time of year, it is so important to take advantage of those opportunities, because this is the pattern for the next 4 months, 5 months. Cold front, high pressure, little break, cold front, high pressure. And that's generally how it rolls. And a lot of times those high pressures can stretch out and be blowy for 3, 4, 5 days. And these cold fronts can be 2, 3, 4 days of bad weather. So these little weather windows open up on the back side or front side of a cold front or right before that high pressure. And in this case, this week, we've got a new moon Tuesday. So we've got a lot of moving water, a lot of flushing bait, and we've got a cold front Wednesday night. Fish bite best right before that cold front. And that coincides with the new moon action, which generally makes nearshore and offshore daytime fishing better. So you really have a perfect storm of some good variables to make fishing hopefully as good as it gets Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You've got a light load, 24 people on a 39. You've got a light load Tuesday, 12-hour extreme. Light load Wednesday, 12-hour extreme. So it doesn't get any better, folks. It does not. So take advantage of it. Don Shuett, appreciate that super chat on YouTube, brother. So that was a little bit about the weather and what's going on now, what we've been catching. I think now it's time to jump into some announcements. Announcements-wise, one big thing we talked about is red snapper. So hopefully you're sitting down for this one, because this one caught me by surprise as well. So red snapper season was June 1st through around September 5th. It was end of day September 15th for us. Our federally permitted for-hire season, June 1st through September 15th. What's crazy is last year we had some quota left over, and I was pretty confident we were going to have quota left over because that September little time frame there was kind of rough. We didn't really get out as much as I would have liked. So I was pretty confident we were going to have red snapper quota left over, which meant we should probably get a red snapper season extension. And that wave 4 data, that July, August data, should have been ready for analysis end of October. and they should be ready to announce a red snapper season extension for us around mid-November. So I started emailing the other day like, hey guys, what y'all think about this? And no one really responded. So I hit up the man in charge, Andy Strelchek, who apparently is the only one left working in the office because everybody else got sent home because of the government shutdown. So Andy responded to me like, hey dude, the government shut down, so no one's here to process this data. So if there is quota left over for red snapper, it doesn't seem likely or possible we're going to have a red snapper season extension because no one's there to look at the data, to comb through the data, to process the data, to post the data, to summarize the data. So it kind of was a little bit of a blow, a little bit of a sucker punch there that unfortunately, because the government shut down, no one's counting our fish in a timely fashion. So we probably won't have the ability to have a red snapper season extension this year. Flip side of that, so that's the bad news. Flip side of that, there's no one left at the government to count our fish. So things that we were potentially concerned about closing early, lane snapper, for example, probably would have been shut down before the end of the year. Maybe red grouper, I don't think so, but there was potential. Some of these species that we were quota monitoring for that potentially may have been shut down if the quota got or the quota was projected to be met, they're not going to be able to do any of that because no one's working. Unfortunately, amberjack's season closure got processed before the government shut down, because if we would have made it like another 2 weeks with amberjack season, probably would have gone all the way through the end of October. Pretty funny, but not funny. Kind of funny. I don't know how you look at that one, but it's interesting. It's ramifications I didn't expect, and I was caught off guard about, so I figured I'd share. LaShonda Brown, appreciate those super chat on YouTube there. Red Snapper, also stone crab season update. You know, stone crab season kicked off October 15th, and Don's Dock Seafood Market is loaded down with stone crab. Plus, I don't know why, but for the second year in a row, right around October timeframe, the bull sharks have shown up at Don's Dock. If you didn't visit the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page today, you're missing out. There's a video we posted on our Hubbard's Marina Facebook page, man, with an incredible drone shot of this big, massive bull shark. So we've been shark fishing off the dock at the seafood market. And when I say shark fishing, I'm saying that they take a fish carcass and they tie a dock line to it and toss it out there. And when the shark grabs it, they pull it up to the surface. And it's like Shark Week Discovery Channel series. Josh has got it pulled up, so I'll go ahead and share it for you when the video restarts. We ready? He's ready. All right, so you can watch this again on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page, but some cool drone shots of just some really big, and this is surprisingly the smaller of the sharks. There was about 6 or 8 of them circling, and we were kind of wrestling with them, and they would come up and splash us on the dock. It was pretty cool, and it's been multiple days in a row. Today, one of the charter captains, Captain Brandon Vaughn of Salty Dog Charters, was there at the dock, and he actually put out a shark setup and hooked one of those bad boys and fought it for quite a while, and it ended up going towards the sandbar in John's Pass and ended up doing some free jumps, just jumping out of the water and doing some spins, and ended up breaking his line. But he had probably about a 400-pound fish hooked up for a good amount of time and almost landed it until it decided to put on an acrobatic display and break the line. So pretty cool. You don't see bull sharks, especially big bull sharks, jump that often, but he got them to jump and unfortunately broke them off. But pretty cool. Lots of big bull sharks at the seafood market. So stop down and get you some fresh stone crab, maybe some fresh fish. If you're too busy to go fishing, you could buy your fresh seafood today at Don's Dock. Hogfish is in the seafood market, which is always nice to pick up. We've got shrimp, we've got lobster, we got oysters, and plenty of stone crab. And then you never know, you might see a big old bull shark outside too. So it's kind of like a win-win. So that was that. 2026 trips, next year's trips. I spent many hours today building our 2026 schedule. It's gonna take me a while to get these years right again because I've been working in next year all day today. But 2026 trips are all built out in the system and ready to be booked that are non-specialty trips. So if you want to book a 5-hour, a 10-hour, a dolphin tour, an island trip, a shelling trip, a sunset cruise, all of those trips are bookable now in our 2026 calendar. Our specialty trips, the 12-hour night, the 12-hour day, the 39, the 44-hour trips, those trips are not public and not bookable until December 1st at 11 a.m. December 1st at 11 a.m., that is when those schedules will open up for bookings. So just keep that in mind. Jorge Gonzalez at the Mud Hole. Appreciate those that super chat there, buddy. Thank you very much, Mud Hole family. Good people over there. I like Mud Hole. They got some good stuff. All right, let's see what questions do we have. I was wondering when it gets really good over there for stone crab. I mean, if you're going out to catch your own stone crab, it hasn't been super good yet because we haven't had a strong cold front. When you get a strong cold front, that's when the crabs really start crawling, and we generally see more of them going into the traps. This time of year, water's not all the way cold yet. We haven't seen a huge influx in those stone crabs crawling, as they say, but definitely going to get better and better and better. Do you know a good area to target flounder? The north side of Johns Pass Bridge, where it's sandier, is a good spot. Fishing anywhere around those docks, like on an outgoing tide, fishing that west side of the Hubbard's Marina main dock. We saw some guests catch flounder there today, right on the west side of our main dock on an outgoing tide. So fishing on the down tide side of any structure, especially areas where they can get into that sand, is a good idea. Let's see. What else we got? What would you like to see? Oh, that's a great question. What would you like to see done with the $18 million beachfront property? Can you pull up Google Maps there, Josh? Yeah, I'm hoping I'll make it back in town. This Wednesday, there's a big city hall meeting about this property, and I'm hoping I'll be back in town. This is great. In time to make it to the city of Madeira Beach City Hall to talk about it, but I'm not sure. I had a little family trip. We got, oh, you want to do something? So hopefully I will be able to be back in time to, it's not working, to speak on it, but I'm not sure. Got a little family trip before the chaos of Seafood Fest this weekend. We got to talk about that too. Forgot about that. Should have pulled that one up. But here's Madeira Beach, and here's Hubbard's Marina, best place in the whole world, Johns Pass. And as you move north from Johns Pass up Gulf Boulevard and take a right onto Tom Stewart Causeway, this is the $18 million piece of property that is it's an outdated photo because this whole thing is in the water. It's all busted down and broken. But this is an $18 million piece of property the city is going to close on October 22nd. This is 4.6 acres of waterfront property. And the city marina is right next door. This is the city marina, and it's already at capacity. There's a little bit of a wait list there. They have a fuel dock. So the city marina is pretty busy. So essentially part of the discussion is adding more slips around this and putting more boats over here. One cool thing that I heard discussed was doing this really big deck, like 12-foot wide deck wrapping the property, and then they'd have boats and boat slips here too, but this 12-foot deck would wrap around the property and go underneath the bridge, and then go alongside this part of the bridge and then wrap into this walkway here. This is called, I think, Freedom Park. What did they name this? What? Patriot Park, thank you. It's called Patriot Park. The 9/11 memorial's there, and they've got a bunch of memorials. It's really cool what City of Madeira Beach did here. So the walkway would connect here, and this walkway would potentially continue all the way down to the Cambria, and then the Cambria could continue down to the Beachmaker. So these hotels, resorts would be connected, and then the Beachmaker is supposed to have a walkover all the way to the beach. So you could literally walk from the beach down the sidewalk, across the crosswalk, and then along the water, all the way down here, and then all the way along this beachfront area, or waterfront area. So potentially you could park here and take a nice leisurely stroll along the docks and waterway all the way to the beach, which is pretty cool. There's plans to put a public works building in here, very small area, very small portion of this area. Then there's talks about doing like splash pad, recreation area, some kind of beautiful like green space. I've heard recreation space. I've heard a lot of different things discussed here, and I've heard like kind of low level, low density rentals, maybe short-term rentals. I'm not sure. There's a lot of different options, but as far as what I would like to see there, I think some sort of low-density green space recreation center that they're able to monetize to make it money back. Because if they spent $18 million to buy the property, guess what? They're going to have to spend probably another 18 to 40 to maybe even 50 to develop the property. So, I mean, all in, they're going to be spending 40, 50, 60 million dollars of taxpayer dollars at a very small city. So they need to do something that's going to make revenue so they can replenish those funds that they're going to have to use. So it definitely needs to be carefully planned and orchestrated. But luckily, they're doing these town hall meetings to involve citizens and stakeholders. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Is baby octopus a good bait for red grouper? Before we get into that, that's a great question, which we will answer here shortly. But let's go ahead and do our first giveaway of the night. Let's do our 5-hour half day. 5-hour half day for one lucky winner, 2 guests, brought to you by our friends over at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. At Hubbard's Marina, we've been fishing the Gulf waters for nearly a century, and we know tough gear when we see it. That's why we're proud to partner once again with Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Their saltwater tackle and equipment takes the same daily abuse that we put them through on our boats, in our seafood market, and out in the water, and they keep delivering. It's from the Seafire reels that stand up to constant rental use to the hooks and the fluorocarbon that we trust on every trip. Their products, like the vacuum sealer, hold up to daily commercial use. We use that vacuum sealer heavily at the Don's Dock Seafood Market. The Cabela's vacuum sealer has been really, really powerful for the price. When you fish with us, you're fishing with the same gear that we use every day. Tested, trusted, and proven by generations of fishermen. Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, and Hubbard's Marina, where great gear meets great fishing. So check it out. Some really cool stuff they have over there, and we've helped develop as well. The Seafire reels are incredible for the price. You really can't beat it. So big shout out to Bass Pro Shops for the 5-hour half day giveaway for one lucky winner, 2 guests. Lucky winner is Dan the Fishman. Congrats, buddy. Got a 5-hour half day. One lucky winner, 2 guests. You got 5 minutes or less to claim your free trip by texting us your full home address, Dan. All right, let's get back into it. Red grouper bait. Is a baby octopus a good red grouper bait? It works really well for a red snapper, but virtually everything works well for a red snapper. Red grouper love octopus. The baby octopus sometimes get a little bit annihilated by the snapper, harder to get to the grouper, but I really like an octopus tentacle. If you get a bigger octopus, using some of those tentacles for the red grouper seem to work really well. Baby octopus should work too because red grouper, they love octopus. but we seem to really get lucky on the snapper with them too. What is it that you don't like about a chicken rig? I mean, the chicken rig is a great quantity of fish catcher. But what I don't like about the chicken rig is it really lends itself to tangling because you have two baits and you've got more spin, it's harder to control, and you have less feel. Because how a slip lead works is the lead sits on the bottom, the line moves freely through that lead, and then you have your bait over here. So if a fish very gently moves your bait, you're going to be able to feel that if you know what you're doing. You're keeping your line tight enough to feel the hook and feel the bait, but not move the lead on the bottom. That means if a fish even nestles, a little nudge in my bait with his nostril, I'm going to feel it, and I'm going to be able to set that hook. I have extreme sensitivity. And I can feel when another line starts to touch my line, even in 200 foot of water. So I can, if that happens, start cranking really fast and a lot of times get out of a tangle or avoid a tangle completely. So I like the feel, sensitivity, and overall quality approach of that fish finder rig. My analogy I've used in the past is basically that fish finder rig where you have the slip lead, the egg sinker, that the line goes freely through, a swivel and about a 4-foot leader, and maybe a double snell rig with a nice trimmed piece of cut bait. You can set out a really good quality presentation. The higher quality presentation means you have a chance for a higher quality fish. If you have a chicken rig, that means you've got a lead on the bottom, and you've got a little dropper loop and another little dropper loop. You got baits moving around, and if you're keeping that line tight enough to feel the bait, that means your bait isn't on the bottom. It's just up off the bottom. And no matter what you do, that bait's moving. So you've got a lead sitting on the bottom, probably rolling around, making a little bit of a puff of sand. You got baits floating around above the lead, moving. It's just not a good quality presentation. Now, does it catch fish? 100%. A chicken rig is going to catch you a lot of fish. If I went fishing with my 5-year-old or my 4 and 6-year-old tomorrow on a half-day trip, I'd probably be using a chicken rig. Because what am I looking for? I'm looking for bites and I'm looking for action. I want that rod bent and I want to catch a lot of those smaller, good-eating fish. And I want my kids to stay focused for a little bit of time. So I want action. And so using a chunk of squid on a small hook on a chicken rig, you're going to catch a lot of fish. You're going to catch a lot of quantity of fish. And on a 39-hour trip, you can get lucky and catch some good quality fish too on a chicken rig. Will you consistently catch quality fish? Will you win the jackpot trip after trip using a chicken rig? Absolutely not. It is not the quality setup, because your presentation is not quality. That bait's moving around. It's not on the bottom. It's not sitting still. It's the Waffle House of presentations. Meanwhile, if you've got that fish finder rig and you've got it all nice and set up and straight, that leader stretched out, and you're holding bottom well, that's that 5-star gourmet restaurant presentation. It's got the little garnish on it. It's got the white tablecloth. It's got a little candle lit in the corner. That is the presentation that's going to get you that quality fish. I can't tell you how many times it is, thinking back to, I think I was probably 10, 11, 12 years old. My dad took me diving, and we took a big chunk of threadfin sardines. It was a big old bait thing, and we took it down to the bottom with us. And we went down, I think we're probably in 40, 50, 60 foot, not very deep. I was pretty young, pretty new to scuba diving. And we went negative buoyancy. And for those who don't scuba dive, what that means is you let all the air out of your BC and you sink to the bottom. So we're sitting there laying on the bottom, and we've got this big old block of bait. And we put that big old block of bait in front of us on this ledge. So we're looking at a ledge, and we put the block of bait in front of the ledge, and we backed up away from it 15, 20 feet. And we just sat there and breathed in our scuba regulators. Almost blanked on the terminology there. And we sat there and just watched what happened. And it was so interesting to me. I'll never forget it. And it really opened my eyes to a lot of things to this day I think about. Because what happened? We dropped that big old chunk of bait down there, and immediately all these small little fish came out of underneath the ledge. Immediately, no fear. Even when we were still kind of close to the bait, before we had backed up, all these little fish came out and started pecking away at all the small little pieces that have floated off. You could tell immediately that big chunk of bait, as it thawed out, was emitting smell and these little chunks of stuff floating in the water, and all these little fish got excited. Now, once those little fish came out and got excited, other fish started to come out. But the mangrove snappers, the porgies, the gray snapper or white grunts started to come out, and they kind of hung back for a second. Once we got further away, they kind of came over, and they were pretty quick to get in there and start taking chunks. The mangroves kind of did a lap or two before they would kind of dart in and take a bite and dart back out. Then, all of a sudden, after 3-4 minutes, all this action was happening. All these fish were feeding. Some chum was getting up in the water. You started to see that bigger grouper off in the distance, the big shadow, that bigger gag grouper. And he was the big dog. He was hanging back, and it took him 2, 3, 4 minutes to get closer and closer and kind of circle, and his circles got tighter. And then, as long as we stayed still and nothing was happening, he got closer and tighter, and then eventually he came in and shot in there and took a huge chunk out of that bait. But it took a while, and he sat there and he watched it. So if you are using a chicken rig and your baits are going like this in the water column, that big fish, that smart fish who's been around the block once or twice, he's going to do those circles and pick another bait. This other bait over here that's on that nice stretched out, good presentation fish finder rig, it's going to look more appetizing to him. And he's probably going to eat that. He's probably going to eat your neighbor's bait. So you got to think like a fish and think about that presentation. You want to make it look good. Does it work? Yes. Will you catch fish with it? Yes. Is it the best option? No. How far do you recommend trolling deep diving crankbaits behind the boat on a 39-hour trip? Like a Rapala X-Rap, Nomad DTX Minnow, the further back you put it, the deeper it's going to go generally. So you don't need to put it that far back. Really, your distance from the boat depends on other anglers. If you got a guy trolling here on the corner, he might stay a little short. You might go next to him and go a little longer. You want to stagger your distance from the boat with the people around you, because if the captain's not paying attention for a second, you veer off course 10-15 degrees and the boat turns a little bit, you don't want your lines to come together and get tangled. If you stagger the distances, that means you can turn the boat and your lines aren't going to come together and get tangled. So really, distance from the boat depends on your setup, your trolling spread. You want to keep a nice spread, and you want to keep staggered distance. If this guy's long, this guy's short, this guy's longer, this guy's shorter, and you just kind of stagger, then you won't get tangles, and you'll be okay. It'll all work out. As far as what works, sometimes the lure close to the boat gets bit. Sometimes the lure medium gets bit. Sometimes the lure furthest from the boat gets bit. You never know. So for me to say this one's going to be better than that one, it's impossible. Really, your distance from the boat should mostly be dictated by the people around you. What are the dates you could fish for red snapper and red grouper on a 49-hour fishing trip? I'm going to assume you meant a 39-hour. Red snapper season for us was June 1st through end of day September 15th, so red snapper season is over right now. But 2026 red snapper, remember, is going to open the Friday before Memorial Day in 2026. It's not going to open June 1st. And remember, Memorial Day, I believe, is, the 25th. So that means red snapper in 2026 will open May 22nd, 5/22/26. So I learned that today as I was booking our schedule for 2026. And red grouper should be open all year, hopefully. Fingers crossed. What are you going to have brand bait on the boat for Tuesday's 39-hour trip? Not sure what you mean by brand bait, but hopefully we'll have the bait you want. Nick Nieves, appreciate those 1,200 stars in the Skyway Fishing Club members. Thanks, buddy. What else we got? Are you ever going to have Final Friday again? We have what's called Village Friday. Unfortunately, the city staff recreation department went away from Final Friday post-storm, and they brought back what's called Village Friday. It is not listed on the website for the city. We brought it up not last week, but the week before, and tried to show you guys what days Village Fridays were, but unfortunately it wasn't listed on the website. But I know that the dates are, the October date is this Friday, because it's coming up. This Friday, October 24th, is the October Village Friday, because it's the first, it is Friday of Seafood Fest, and it is they're doing a Halloween trick or treat for the kids. So our store will be participating, so you can bring your kids to John's Pass for the first day of Seafood Festival, and they can go around to the different businesses and collect free candy. So you can't beat that. I know the kids are pumped about it. How do I watch the after show? I am a member. So all you have to do is pop on over to our supporters club on Facebook to watch the after show, or if you're on YouTube, wait for the live video to pop up. But remember, Facebook supporters, you get access to the private group as well. And all you do is go to the group and you'll see the live video. I think that guy meant brined baits. We should have brined baits on the Tuesday 39-hour trip. When the water starts to get colder, it gets harder for us to catch the fresh baits. So the fresh baits a lot of times we'll have all spring and summer. Once the water starts to get colder, we a lot of times won't have the fresh bait barrel at the back of the boat, but we can still brine baits. But it's always a good idea to have your bait cooler and salt ready, and if you need it, you can grab it. If you don't need it, you can leave it in the truck. Coming down the week of October 25th, which trip would you recommend for the period? 10-hour, 12-hour extreme? I mean, a lot of times the 10-hour trip is going to be a good option for hogfish, but the 12-hour extreme is a pretty hard trip to beat. You get out there real far, real fast, get some big red grouper, some nice scamps, some triggerfish, some yellowtails, mangroves, potentially. The only challenge is around late October, late November, we have these cold fronts, so you got to get lucky with some good weather in order to get out there and do some fishing, because those 12-hour extreme trips, they really need some good weather because that boat is fast and extremely weather sensitive. When targeting hogfish, is it better to bait the shrimp through the head or the tail? I like the tail. The reasoning behind it is that knocker rig setup we're using, the weight hits the bottom, and that line can move freely through that lead. So that shrimp can pull away from the lead. And if you hook them in the tail, especially, I like going kind of through the side of the tail and out the other side, and he can swim pretty freely. So if you got a shrimp hanging on the bottom, he might kind of try to swim away and do a little struggling. If you hook him in the head, he's going to be staring right at the lead, and it's going to constantly be pulling his head into that lead, and it just doesn't seem like logically that shrimp will have as much movement. And you want your live bait to be moving around, fiddling around on the bottom. So I like tail hooking them for that reason. But if you asked 10 people, you'd probably get 10 different responses. Personally, I like tail hooking them. I just booked another trip. My questions are, it is the 5-hour trip. So it is not a trolling trip. None of our trips are trolling trips. It's a bottom fishing trip, but you can bring your own rod and reel. And then if you rent a rod and reel, we're going to provide you tackle. If you bring your own rod and reel, you're welcome to do that, but just remember you got to bring your own tackle, because the tackle we have on the boat won't match up to your specialty rods and reels in most cases. So you have to bring your own tackle if you're bringing your own rod and reel. We could try to use our tackle in your rod and reel, but if you're bringing a spinning rod and reel setup, our tackle won't work on your rod. Let's do another giveaway, and then we'll answer some more questions before we wrap things up here. We did our 5-hour half-day trip. Let's do our 10-hour all-day trip. This is a 10-hour all-day trip. One lucky winner gets a 10-hour all-day for 2 guests. This is brought to you by our friends over at Friendly Fisherman Seafood Restaurant. The Friendly Fisherman at Johns Pass is back under the management of the Hubbard family. The same family serving up the best fishing and dining experiences in the Deer Beach for nearly a century. Come rediscover the Friendly Fisherman and taste the difference with the freshest seafood, improved menus, and service you've come to expect from the Hubbard's family. Enjoy unbeatable waterfront views, a welcoming atmosphere, and flavors straight from the Gulf. Locals and visitors, come see what's new at the Friendly Fisherman Seafood Restaurant today. I recommend the Capt putter. If you watch our radio show, you would understand that. The Captain's Platter, it's a nice little piece of grouper. Got shrimp and scallops, some wild rice, some veggies. You can't go wrong. They also have the incredible burger selection is pretty stellar. The Sizzler is my favorite. It was our Burger Week submittal, and it was so popular it stayed on the menu. It's got smoked Gouda. It's got bacon. It's got bacon jam. It's got some kind of aioli. I think it's like a jalapeno aioli. It's got fried crispy onions. I could keep going, but it gets really crazy. The pickles are my favorite part. It's got this like spicy special pickle to it. I swear I'm going to steal those pickles from the restaurant and just take the whole 5-gallon bucket home one of these days. Mandy Winkler, appreciate those stars on Facebook. All right, let's see who wins our 10-hour all-day trip brought to you by our friends over at Friendly Fisherman Seafood Restaurant. Lucky winner is Christy Lunsford. Congratulations, Christy. You got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. All right. Let's see what else we got. Is it true you catch more fish fishing from the back of the boat? That is the most false thing I've ever heard in my life. That would be the same as saying you catch better fish using a chicken rig. You do not catch the best fish fishing from the back of the boat. In my opinion, the back of the boat is probably the worst place to fish. The only time the back of the boat is a good place is if the wind and the current are traveling together, which is rare, and we've been anchored at a spot for a while. Then sometimes those back corners can be a good spot. Being in the middle of the back can be treacherous. Because if the current's a little angled off the wind, your lines are going to come together and get tangled. If you're in the back corners, sometimes you can cast out away from people, but it's hard to get the back corners because everybody fights for them. In a perfect world, I'm going to be fishing up at the bow, away from everybody else, away from, I love diesel, drive a diesel truck, I love diesel boats, I love diesel. But 12 hours, 39 hours, 44 hours of diesel exhaust can get exhausting. So I like the front of the boat. Also, cigarette smoke. A lot of times on those long-range trips, there's some cigarette smokers around. I like the front of the boat. I'm tall, so I like the front of the boat. There's not a low-hanging roof, and everybody loves to hang their rods as close to them as possible. So ends up the back of the boat is just covered in rods. So I'm hunched down, trying not to get hit in the head with a lead. Half the time people are pulling rods down. Just cramped back there. So I like the very front of the boat. Got lots of headroom. I got lots of elbow room. I got lots of casting room. The front of the boat's a little higher off the water, so it's easier to cast. I mean, everything about the front is better. The only time the front can be a little bit treacherous is if it's rough. If it's rough, the front can be a little bit challenging because it's moving around a little bit more. But for the most part, 90% of the time, it's pretty awesome up there and the best spot to fish, in my opinion. Or really anywhere along the sides. As long as the current's not running real bad, the sides are great too. But everybody and their brother loves to try to fish the very back of the boat. And it can get a little chaotic back there. It's always funny because, like, for example, I'm going to pull up while we're talking here the manifest for this coming Tuesday's 39-hour trip. We've got 24 people on it, and I'm going to just look here real quickly. So out of 24 people, let's see how many people are on the back quarter of the boat. So out of 24 people, we've got 14, 16, 18. We've got 18 people on the back quarter of the boat. 24. So 80% of people are on the back quarter of the boat. Tuesday's 10-hour all-day trip. Let's take a peek at this real quick. Tuesday's 10-hour all-day. They've been trained. Tuesday's 10-hour has 25 people on it. You've got 16 of the 25, so still a majority at the back of the boat, but there's a large group. Oh, I booked this group. That's unfair. So there's a large group towards the bow, and that's my fault. I skewed the numbers myself. Let's see, Friday's 39-hour trip. Got 35 people on it Friday. Let's see. Oh, yeah. 35 people. I only count, 2, 4, 6. Out of 35 people, 6 people are in the front of the boat. 6 people are in the front half of the boat. So out of 35 people, 29 are in the back half of the boat. That's crazy. Crazy. So, yeah, the back of the boat's not the best place to fish. Far from it. A lot of people get crowded back there for no reason. No reason whatsoever. All right, next question. What else we got? I booked a spot at the very front bow of the boat. There we go. There we go. What a transition here. Can I still troll on the way out from a back spot? Yes, because remember, these fishing spots you reserve are bottom fishing spots. This is a bottom fishing trip. So if you're on a 5-hour half day, 39, 44-hour trips that can troll, remember 10-hour trips generally, not all the time can we troll. 12-hour trips, no way, never can we troll. If you're on like a 39-hour trip and you fish the very front of the boat, you can still troll. However, you just got to be courteous to those in the back of the boat and find someone who doesn't mind you sliding back into their spot to troll from. And then you just got to be courteous to them when we get time for fishing. You want to get out of their way quickly, that kind of thing. But yes, anybody has the option to troll. You do not have to have a stern spot to troll. However, if you go back there to troll and you try to troll out of spot number 1 and the guy who has spot number 1 assigned to him wants to troll, he's got first right refusal to troll from his own spot. But 9 out of 10 times, you're not going to have a problem finding a spot to troll. What's the... This is a weird one. We're on a roll tonight. What's the chance of getting a back spot on the transom on a 39-hour trip? I mean, pretty high. You could do it if you want to, but we just talked about all the different reasons why it's not the best idea. But you can get on the back of the boat. You just have to book early or keep checking for cancellations. Remember, our 2026 calendar will come out December 1st at 11 a.m. And by December 1st at 10 a.m., a lot of those corner spots and a lot of those back spots on especially opening days will start to be booked. They are extremely fast. We'll skip that one. We'll save that for the supporters group. Using any recommendations on soft plastics on the beach? I love the DOA shrimp. It is my go-to. Any sort of imitation shrimp is a good option, but DOA shrimp is probably my favorite. I was raised inshore fishing by my father, who was raised by his father, and my grandfather had a very basic tackle box of DOA shrimp, mirror lure jerkbaits, and mirror lure top dogs, and rattle traps, and gold spoons. So I was raised on the very basics of inshore fishing. It's always comical to me. You go to a bait shop nowadays and you've got 87 different kinds of soft plastics to choose from, and whoever has the biggest Instagram following is the one who gets chosen. So it is pretty comical, but it is virtually all made to catch fishermen, not so much the fish. But I digress. Would you recommend lower diameter mainline to reduce drag from current? Yes and no. If you're jig fishing, slow pitch jig fishing, that would help. But no, if you start using braided line, your line's going to start acting differently from your neighbors. And if your line is thinner diameter than your neighbors, you're going to drift into their lines. So unless you're a super experienced angler, using specialty lines to try to cut down on drag is going to actually disadvantage you, because you're going to end up getting tangled more frequently. So it's a good idea if everybody's using the same size mono and the same size lead, there's almost virtually no tangles. As long as you're paying attention, you're keeping your line tight. If there's a big fish, you guys are working together and getting out of the way, you can literally go 39 hours with very few tangles. The problem is you'll have 4 guys using mono, this guy using braid, 4 guys using mono, 2 guys using braid, and then someone up in the front's not paying attention and is using a light lead, and their line is out the back of the boat. That's what can cause tangles. If you got people that are using different size lead, different size tackle, different types of tackle, and not paying attention, that's what leads to greater numbers of tangles. Or if you got a guy or a gal using an underpowered reel and they hook a fish, and that fish starts to swim around and they don't control their fish, then it's going to cause tangles as well. So using the right size reel with the appropriate drag power, not a spinning reel, with the same size line and lead as your neighbors, you're going to cut down on the number of tackle or the number of tangles. Unless you're a super experienced angler, and then you can feel the lines get into touch and you can underhand cast away from people, all that good stuff. Let's see what else we got. Our sheep's head starting to show up? Starting to. Early, but we're starting to see more and more of them. What's a good trolling speed for kingfish? About 4 to 6 knots is a good, 4 to 6 knots would be slower if you're trolling slower baits. We troll a lot for kingfish right around 6 to 9 knots with the hardwares, the planers and the spoons and the bigger lipped plugs. If you're trolling the smaller baits along the beach, sometimes it can slow down 4 to 6 knots. If you're doing live bait trolling, you got to go like 1 to 2 knots, bumping it in and out of gear basically. Is it true you get less seasick on the back? No. A lot of times people get more seasick on the back because of exhaust. I like the front because you got a more open view. It's beautiful. You're not claustrophobic. What else we got? Do you think Sunday's 10-hour is most likely not going due to weather? This coming Sunday, that's a far way away. But I can tell you that weather is best Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And weather's going to pick up Thursday through like Monday. So I'm telling you, the best trip to go on would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We got that super light 39-hour trip. Tuesday, got light 12-hour extreme trip Tuesday with Capt Joe. So that's the one to go on. How much line do you like between your hook and your swivel? It depends on what I'm fishing for, the time of year, how many people I have around me, all that kind of stuff. But generally about 4 to 5 foot. Bigger baits, bigger live baits, I like a bigger leader. Are we getting tapped out here? I think we're pretty tapped out. Plus, we're out of time anyway. All right, what time is the Supporters After Show, Josh?
4-5.
Brave. Supporters After Show, 8:45 p.m. Join us in our supporters group for that after show. We're going to talk about more and dive into more specifically and in depth what you want to hear. So appreciate you being a supporter and part of our supporters family. Remember, stay tuned to the supporters group this week. We've got that Super Light Tuesday Extreme trip, Super Light Tuesday 39-hour trip, probably going to do some giveaways for those special trips in our supporters group. So make sure you're staying tuned in the supporters group on Facebook if you are a supporter. If you're not a supporter, it could be worth joining. Chance to win a 39 or 12-hour stream this week. Want to give a shout out to our friends over at Innovative Pools and Spa, who brings you our 39-hour giveaway tonight. Innovative Pools and Spa brings 35 years of experience building pools in the Tampa Bay area. They're continuing the legacy of their father's company, which was recognized as a top pool builder in the area for over 3 decades. And they continue to raise the bar in pool construction, design, and features. They have an unparalleled passion for the industry. Call them today at 727-788-1650 or visit them online at innovativepoolsandspa.net for an estimate and see why Innovative Pools and Spa is a top choice for our community. Big shout out to Innovative Pools and Spa for being a supporter and a partner and the sponsor of our 39-hour giveaway. Let's see who won the 39-hour trip for one lucky winner from Innovative Pools and Spa. Winner is Louis Viet. Congratulations, Louis. You've got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address and claim your free 39-hour adventure. Hopefully, we'll see everybody else again next week for another episode of our live stream show. Remember, every Sunday night right here on our Hubbard's Marina YouTube, Hubbard's Marina Facebook. We appreciate you all being a part of our Hubbard's Marina family, and we'll see all of our supporters in the after show at 8:45 p.m. Don't forget as well, come get your stone crabs at Don's Dock Seafood Market. Stop by the Friendly Fisherman, say hello, and come out and see us at Hubbard's Marina for a dolphin tour, an island trip, a shelling trip, a sunset cruise with free beer and wine, an Egmont Key or Shell Key ferry, a 3-hour Shell Key shelling trip. We got a lot going on besides fishing too. So come out and see us for some fishing, some dolphin tours, some island trips, whatever you want to do out there on the water. Hubbard's Marina has a trip for you and your family. So thanks for being a part of our Hubbard's Marina family and watching, and we'll see you again next week. We're out.